Hey Tony, what are you doing?
You know, Larry, I'm just listening to the podcast right now. You know, it'd be cool if you just come back later. Come back, talk to me later.
But Tony, wait a second. What podcast are you listening to? What you got going on over there?
It's Double D's I'm listening to. You know
Double D's. Wait a minute. I thought that podcast was over. They said it was over.
I mean, it is over, like officially. I'm just listening to old episodes. I like listening to the stuff. You know,
Tony, has anyone ever told you that you kind of sound like Underwater Eddie? Like just a little bit, like just a hint.
Yo, can we do this later, man? I'm listening to this thing, dude. Please, man. Like seriously, you're always helping my shit, man. Why the fuck you in my house anyway? I didn't invite you here, man. It's fucking Christmas time. I'm trying to be by myself with my family. Okay.
I was coming over to let you know that my son's starting off a podcast. He's starting a podcast. You want to know what it's about?
No, not really.
Well, it's him. It's his friend. They do characters. They talk about weird, goofy conversations.
That's just fucking Double D's, man.
No, it's not. They're totally innovating something.
It is. It's not innovative. Your kid is fucking 18 years old. What the fuck you gotta talk about? Nothing. He's a fucking bum. All right. Now that you're in my home, okay. I gotta tell you the fucking truth. I don't like your fucking son, all right? You're a good guy. I know we've been friends for like 78 years. Your son is a fucking bum. He's not gonna amount to shit, okay?
You're listening to the Dubl D's podcast.
I'm Don.
I'm d.respect.
He's got a great set of tits. I get so angry thinking about this kid.
Because that's what most people are bitching about.
I'm from New York. You know, we like to eat out here. You know?
You gotta stop looking at interacting with people online as a cheap date. My father used to drink.
Get the fuck away from me! Hold on!
I come a lot, by the way.
You're good with all the rap stuff.
If you didn't say it, somebody in the comment section would have said it.
It's like how you feel when you're having a paranoid high.
That's a dynamic connection right there. To a not Double D's.
I'm not Don.
I'm not d.respect. Thank you for listening to yet another installment of the Dubl D's podcast. In the description below, nestled safely in the description, you have episode 200 of the Dubl D's podcast for the low price of $14.99, and I say $14.99 because it sounds cheaper. For the low price of $14.99, you can be the owner of episode 200, the conclusion of 200 episodes. It is in video form. It's not like any other episode that you've ever seen, and those who have purchased episode 200 can attest to that. It's different. It's a different experience. You get Dom and I, you get us on camera, so in the description below, and we will be beating your heads with this for the duration of this podcast, is episode 200, so get it, asshole.
Yeah, this isn't Double D, so I know it's going to be a little bit different probably, but that's okay. You know, d.respect and I told you we'd be back, and we're back. This is not Double D's. Right now, all that shit is still on Libsyn for now. I don't know how long it's going to be there, so one of you enterprising young folks should probably go and just download the whole archive and just put that up fucking somewhere. But
and you can tell it's not an episode of Double D's because, to be honest with you, that intro was pretty weak. And if we're in mid-season form, you would have gotten a better intro.
It was pretty.
It's partially because you're terrible, but you know, whatever.
I'm pretty good. My voices are always the best, man. I got the range, and I know we're like, I don't want to get into the debate right now, but you know I have more range. I have more characters.
With what?
Okay.
With what?
I got more range, more characters.
So you can't just say that because it doesn't mean anything if you just say it.
It's true. Dude. I'm not even gonna dignify that shit.
Okay.
You know, I was on the stupid ass dating app the other day, and this girl was like, "Oh, you should message me if you're argumentative and you're passionate."
Really?
I'm like, this chick wants to argue.
Did you message her?
No, actually I did.
Okay. You should message me if you're argumentative. Was she a white girl? Keep it real.
Nah, she's black.
She was black? Okay.
Yeah, dog. That's my New Year's resolution, man. I gotta date more black girls, okay?
I see.
Gotta date more black girls.
So I mean, we decided to pop up on these guys out of nowhere without warning. I guess Dom and I felt that at the very least we owed you guys another episode by the end of the year because we ended this thing in the summer. And you guys have been supporting us. We are happy to say that you guys are supporting us, and you are you still message me on Snapchat that you're listening to random clips of the show, which is pretty odd. Could you listen to a podcast over and over again?
No, I've never done that. I listen to clips. Mm-hmm. You know, if like some podcasts out there, they're like There are certain clips I'll go back, like motivation shit or like funny stories and things like that. I listen to those things, but yeah, I don't. It's not like music, you know, and it's not like. I know podcasts are sort of tangentially related to comedy, but I'm not going to do that either. Man, we've missed a lot of stuff this year, like the sexual assault allegation stuff. I mean, like, let me ask you this, all right? Mm-hmm. Do you think? I think we both know Russell Simmons did it, but were you surprised?
I wasn't too knowledgeable about all the Russell Simmons stuff.
You know more about that shit than me.
Well, I'm
Russell
not concerned
Simmons.
what these people do with their dicks. There's a big difference. There's a big difference in being a fan of the music and being a fan of what people do with their dicks. I have no concern about that whatsoever.
L.A. Reid, Rick Rubin, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Russell Simmons, 50 Cent.
Just lined up with their dicks out.
Jay-Z, Kanye, Kendrick, J. Cole. I'm just going to name every rap. I'm going to keep going until I'm going to keep going. Lil Pump, Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi Vert, Big Daddy Kane, Young Jeezy.
Are you just
Nas,
trying to figure out who
Big
you
L.
can name?
Yeah, I'm going to go till I can't stop.
Okay.
Big Pun, Big Jeezy.
It'd be nice if you did.
Lil Wayne, Birdman.
Okay.
Hobson. Okay.
Because it always has to get to that point.
Name a year, and I'll tell you the hottest rapper from that year right now.
1997.
That was definitely Biggie. No, didn't he die?
No,
yeah,
Biggie
yeah,
died in
it was
1997.
Biggie, yeah.
No, technically it would
97?
probably be Diddy. Diddy, it would probably technically be him.
Okay, one more.
He was
Let's
just
try
out
one
there
more.
more than anybody.
One more.
2004.
No, 50.
Okay,
50
that was an easy one. Okay.
I mean, I just watched Get Rich or Die Trying for the first time the other day.
For the first time, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know why somehow that one eluded me because I thought it was going to be trash, but you know, it really wasn't. 50's not a bad actor.
And
it's pretty good.
Thank you for validating 50 Cent's career. Finally, 50
Look,
gets
someone had to fucking say it, okay? Someone had to come out and fucking say it.
50 finally gets the validation that he so desperately needed.
He's not bad.
On the Not Double D's podcast. But hold up, you brought up the sexual allegations. What was your thought on most
Russell
of it?
Simmons, Big Daddy my thought, he always seems slimy to me, and I know that this is like it's sort of, this kind of statement is not admissible in court, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really mean anything to say that someone is slimy or not, because it doesn't, you know, whether or not you're slimy, it is sort of like someone might be like rapier or like more likely to be like a predator if they're clearly creepy, but like that doesn't mean that they would or wouldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he always seemed kind of like aloof, like I'm better than everybody, I'll take advantage. With his prepaid rush card, he was just always he was so pleased with himself. This is not like welfare, okay? It's not like fucking government assistance, okay? This is a prepaid breath card. You get one of these things, you can buy whatever the fuck you want. This is not EBT, okay? This is not EBT. This is a prepaid breath card.
You know, the creepiest thing probably would have been with Russell Simmons is that while he's sexually harassing women, he's throwing off like some platitude about spirituality, you know, on why she should just give it up to him. Man. You know, our bodies are one anyway. It makes no difference if you give me your body or not. So you want to keep your job.
Did you ever watch Run's House?
It's like 1 or 2 episodes maybe. All
Garbage.
I remember about Run's House is him in the hot tub.
Yeah, at the end, yeah, he'd be texting on his BlackBerry. He'd be writing a note to himself.
And Russell was on the show, right?
Yeah, I think he'd come in every once in a while.
I'm sure he did. Oh,
that ain't good, man.
Yeah, that was a good one.
All these guys, I mean, look, if we were to do some kind of audit of all these powerful gentlemen in show business in Hollywood, real talk, man, I'm going to guess 70% of them have one under their belt, at least.
Okay.
70.
70. Now, you think that that's something that's going to get exposed eventually?
No, I think in terms of exposure, I mean, look, this past year, it's probably just been like 5% of them that have been, so 5% of the 70 have been outed. I mean, like Weinstein obviously was the biggest one, and now everything is.
Yeah, he's going to be the face. He's going to be the face of this whole movement. He's always going to be, unless it's a more famous person, then that's the only thing that would trump it. I don't think details of what Kevin Spacey did are going to be worse than what the details of what Weinstein did, unless it's somebody like Mel Gibson. You know,
not really, because he's done plenty of, like, he said plenty of awful shit, and he's still getting roles. So,
okay, what if it was Tom Hanks?
What's the allegation?
Just period. Just if he were to do something, I think that would be bigger.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Whereas if another actor, if it just happens to Jake Gyllenhaal, for example, it's just like, oh, he's just another name. But in order to be the face of ISIS, you'll have to outdo Harvey and just be a bigger star. See,
what about John Leguizamo? People is the Hispanic community. As a member of the Hispanic delegation, how do you feel that will go over?
That'd be pretty disappointing, but I'm sure it's part of the culture he grew up in. I'm sure.
What if Cardi B got some accusations?
But let me tell you something. John Leguizamo, like, you think Hispanic, you don't think of John Leguizamo. You know, you just don't. You just don't.
He does kind of exist in between white and Hispanic, right?
Not as much as J-Lo. Not as much as J-Lo does.
How did she become the one who was like, I'm you guys like me, right?
Yeah. Well, because
she's the one.
She was, because white people thought she was exotic, and she's just another girl from the Bronx. Looks wise, she looks just like another girl from the Bronx, but to white people, she's exotic.
Have you seen Cardi B return to her hood?
No, sir.
You never seen her just drive by?
I refuse to speak about her.
You never seen her speed by in a Mercedes and crash into a wall?
That would be exciting.
Empanadas fly out.
See, but I wanted to ask you this, because it happens with men in Hollywood, but when you heard about Louis, because obviously you and I were big fans of comedy, and
Yeah,
for example, you take somebody,
big movie fans, you know.
You take somebody like Andy Dick, for example, and every podcast that you've ever heard Andy Dick be on, or any story that you've heard of Andy Dick, is always Andy Dick literally whipping his dick out and just jerking off in front of people.
Yeah,
and you've heard female comics talk about it like it's funny.
Bobby Lee does it all the time too.
Bobby Lee too. Look at that. So now that this, this is pretty much the thing now. This is the witch hunt now in Hollywood. Now the biggest name in comedy outside of Kevin Hart is Louis C.K. Well, Dave Chappelle maybe, but now what happens to Louis C.K.? So there are many comedians that have done this. So what's to make of that? And do you think Louis' career is over? Does it get salvaged because he's a comedian?
What I make of it is that I don't think these accusers are as hair triggered and frenzied as some people might like to think. I think they're pretty reasonable. I think, like, whenever we're talking about what Bobby Lee has done, it's not like I think it's the problem is like the predatory aspect. Damn. I'm kind of contradicting myself here. It's like the asking for permission, think of like clear consent, because like you're not consenting if someone just took their dick out, right?
No.
So you're right. That could be considered. I honestly don't know what to say about that, because I mean, if that's the criteria of like someone exposing themselves to like when you didn't want it to happen, then man, I'm guessing a whole lot more comedians have done shit like that. But like, is Louis gonna be back? Yes.
And put it in his act.
He has to. He has to. Because, I mean, this is the ultimate test of his mettle, this ultimate test of who he is. I mean, it's like, man, if there were ever a time when someone was going to come back from something just fucked up and try to dig into the darkest place and make it funny and come back, and people are gonna like sort of rally against it and shit on it, but like I think there's a lot of potential for something really funny and eye-opening to come out of this. And I don't even mean in just like a mean fucked up way, whatever sort of humor is gonna come out of it. I think in a like really exposing kind of like honest way of like what he learned out of the situation, what people can learn out of it potentially. Because I mean, if the goal is to have conversations about these things, you never heard anyone openly talking about what it's like to be on the. And again, I'm not sympathizing with any of these guys, but like you've never heard the perspective of like the person who's been shamed, rightfully so, and comes back from it and sort of like, what did you learn? What can we gain from here on? Because I mean, the reality is this is gonna stop a lot of guys from doing some nasty shit, right? So in a way, like if he comes back and does a show that's kind of centered around it, then I mean, I think it's potentially gonna help a lot less people get victimized and all that stuff. But yeah, my guess is like within 2 years we're gonna see something. I think he's gonna lay down for a year and a half.
I figure his humor is self-deprecating already, so maybe if it starts from a place of I'm a piece of shit,
it will, and it has to, for people to be for. I hate to say both sides, but it's like for everyone from every angle looking at this, and I've heard a lot of angles, none of which are by the way are like, oh, these women are liars and fuck them. It's never that. But like from all sides, I think, yeah, the self-deprecating thing and sort of being super honest about it and what it means within a historical context or something like that moving forward. I think we can potentially get something good out of this.
I don't think anybody's going to criticize him over it, and I don't think he's going to get any backlash
yes.
because he'll
Yeah,
strike.
he will.
He'll strike when it's pretty much blown over, when all this is past, and he can only that moment can only begin when the wave of accusations stop. That's when everything begins, because it's not just Louis C.K. It's every guy that gets exposed for doing it. And I think after that,
And by the way,
that's when
he's
it can
not.
start.
And by the way, I think it's also important to kind of remember that like he's not speaking for Weinstein, when this happens.
No.
And I think that's kind of one thing that I saw was like, but it's not the same. And I know like people are saying, oh, that's gaslighting if you're saying it's not the same. But I think it's important to say that it's not, because I mean, in court, there's a difference between manslaughter and assault, right? Or aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. There are different responses to all of these things. So I do think it's important to kind of look at these things. If someone's career is just going to be panned and they're going to kind of be, dragged into the mud or all that stuff, I do think we should kind of categorize them. Because I mean, yeah, his career is already fucked. So I mean, like at this point, let's at least say that okay, the Weinsteins are like shouldn't he be tried in a court? I mean, I think the Weinstein one is like, dude, that's just straight up rape. Like he should just be. But I don't think anyone pressed any criminal charges to him. So that's the other weird thing that I don't kind of understand about Hollywood is like it almost feels like the Catholic Church in a way where it's like, all right, like these things are kind of dealt with in a really either they're not dealt with at all or people don't come forward because I mean it's like they're protecting their career, I guess, or their name, which is I guess that's their prerogative. But like, doesn't this sort of set a precedent for abusers? And I hope that moving forward is a thing where like, look, if a criminal act was made, let's treat them like the criminal they are. Like none of this shit where like, and I understand that we live in this country though where it's like, if you're super rich, you'll afford a lawyer anyway who'll just make everything super difficult to convict.
The one that was scary to me, the moment that was scary to me was Matt Lauer. He was the NBC anchor. Right. And when he got exposed, there was a video that came out where he was interviewing people because obviously that's what his job was made up of, was interviewing people, especially after being shamed in public. So there was this interview that he was having with Bill O'Reilly, who recently got fired from Fox for the very same reason. So he was asking Bill O'Reilly, you must tell that cat to shut the fuck up.
No, Sam must speak, okay? Please do not silence my cat.
I'm not one to silence cats, but tell that cat to shut the fuck up. So he was interviewing Bill O'Reilly, and he was asking him, clearly you must have thought that you are Bill O'Reilly, you are the star over at Fox. So you were thinking that they weren't going to fire you, which I think is interesting because then you got this dark look into Matt's mind, probably thinking why Matt's arrogance was thinking that I am the biggest star at NBC. So this is why I can get away with this, because they're not going to fire me. I'm the one who brings in the revenue. So it's that very strange thing. But also the thing that I didn't appreciate is, like, when I looked at comment sections and people were like, oh, my God, he had the gall to ask Bill O'Reilly that question. We've got to start to separate what's somebody doing their job and somebody being an asshole. So regardless if he was doing that stuff, I'm not saying that the fact that he asked Bill O'Reilly or that he was willing to interview Bill O'Reilly while he was probably doing the same thing. It's just the question that he asked, or that the writers, I'm assuming there'll be writers that would phrase some of those questions, right? It wouldn't be Matt. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
The way that question was phrased, now looking back, lets you know that maybe Matt's arrogance and how he was thinking that he wasn't going to get caught. But I don't think he's a terrible person for, you know, somebody who's basically in the same position as he is, but he was just doing his job. He wasn't going to say, hey, everybody, I'm sexually
But I
harassing
also
women.
think that, like, in hindsight, it's this thing where everything you've done can be kind of used against you in the court of public opinion. Where, like, I mean, like, I think anyone you can kind of go through their shit and be like, oh yeah, well, look at this, and you know, a friend of ours actually went through this. I'm not gonna say his name because there's a bunch of like legal shit attached to it. Where, like, you know, there was like a smear campaign against this person, and this media organization, like, basically went through a bunch of his videos and tried to say some shit about him that wasn't true. But it's like they just used the evidence. So they would get something super small without out of context and then use it as to build a case, which is like, that's all you need to do now. So it's like, if you made any joke that is considered, like, I mean, off color, I mean, it can be used against you in any situation. So, like, let's say someone could say you were like a, I don't know, you're a, I don't know, Nazi sympathizer. Like, they would just go through.
Which I am.
What?
I came out as a Trump supporter a couple episodes ago, but
You mean a couple episodes ago? What are you talking about?
I think episode 205. I think it was 200.
What have you been up to since the break?
Oh, I haven't done much, man. I mean, I just been here with my 5 kids, and Manuela.
I thought it was like 11 kids.
Hey, man, that's defamation of caricature. So that's not okay anymore, because I've been reading books and stuff. So don't do that.
Yeah, I heard your family got blown away in the Puerto Rican hurricane. Is that true?
The rumors are don't believe what you hear. I'm all right. I gotta go.
You know what,
Every time Julio comes into the fucking podcast, you always fucking persecute him.
Yeah,
Even after
as
it's
he should
done.
be. Yeah, he should be persecuted. If you guys see Julio, the first thing you abuse him verbally and physically. Do not sell anything to him because he won't pay you back.
He will not.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just not a good thing. But anyone can use anything against anybody, and we're in this finger pointing phase right now. But I think it's in most ways it's good. In most ways it's good. I don't think it's Shut up, Sam. In some ways I think it's backfired.
Have you turned into Mike Seatown now? Just
yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Several cats surrounding you.
I'm gonna get skinnier and taller, but it's gonna lead to what I really hope this all leads to is I'm gonna try to use this word properly. Let me know if I'm using it right. A dissemination of the current democratic system. I want things to be kind of broken down. I want more political parties. I want for people to have more power in terms of voting. So that's this shit like this net neutrality stuff can't get passed. This Trump tax bill. It's like, yeah, well, like let the people vote on these things. Let them actually vote on this shit. And I think what's going to happen is like people are going to be, any single figurehead of anything will be more accountable for stuff. So I think the result will be that people's power is more spread out. I hope.
I think I overheard somebody mention that what we should implement instead is like a system where people get to digitally vote for things. So the next election
the problem
cycle,
with that, of course,
bots,
is like
things like bots.
yeah,
You can't
bots
do
and
that.
the Russian hackers. But then again, it's like, well, it's already like that. Like when I fucking vote at the little Scantron machine, it's still going through a digital process, right? Excuse me. So I know what you're saying. It's like just go through these secure terminals. And it really should be voting by phone, but people will hack it. That's the problem. Like we just need to get I don't know. I guess we need to get our best hackers on the job. But it's this thing. It's this thing of like it's benefiting the aristocrats. It's benefiting this privileged class of people who are always going to be in power if we don't have that kind of access.
I think it turns on anybody. Like 2 to 3 years ago when that whole Donald Sterling thing happened, and I made a video about it, and people told me to go fuck myself.
Just stop hanging around all these blacks. That's all I want to ask.
I felt that
these blacks.
Candy Bar Kid is Donald Sterling.
Stop hanging around all these blacks.
So when everybody went crazy over what he said, and what he said was terrible, and I've heard people say worse. But the key thing in there is that somebody was recorded in the privacy of their own home, and publicly it affected them. So I don't care what it is. This is a precedent now. So that means if you feel that he should have lost his team because of what he did and what he said, now that means 15 to 20 years from now, if you get recorded, you should lose your job.
Right.
You should. If you're a police officer, you said something in private, you then should lose your job. And that's a very slippery slope to go down. That's a slippery slope. We want to mask it with racism, and it's wrong, and it should always be stopped. But what about when it's not racism? What about if it's something else? What about if you admitted that you stole $50, from your job, and now all of a sudden it's out, but you said it in the privacy of your own home? So what does that mean about privacy?
Yeah, but you know where that slippery slope goes? It goes to a revelation of everyone's inner and outer thoughts. It's gonna lead to a point where it's like, okay, just let it all out, man. Like, because we're gonna get to a point where it's like, okay, obviously everyone watches porn, everyone's done awful shit, everyone
obviously watches porn. Not everyone.
Right?
Dude,
come on,
not one day in my life. So listen to me, not one fucking day. Never.
He puts his dick away. Never. So if the majority of of people, look, everyone has said an off-color joke, laughed at an off-color joke, said an inappropriate thing. Everyone. Okay? So that being said, it's like, okay, all right, what we're doing is basically this thing where it's like, okay, as long as you don't say it in public, but you're right. If we're getting punished for things that are said in private, then it's just going to be open to everybody. Mm-hmm. It's just going to have to be open. And what's going to happen is I think we're going to reach a point where every politician, as time goes on, like I think within the next 20 years, they're going to have been born using the internet, or at least grew up using the internet,
right?
Which means that they have plenty of dirt on them. But then that means that the other candidates also have plenty of dirt on them. What's going to happen is like once I guess whose generation? I guess the generation below Obama's has to die out, and then we're gonna get a thing where it's like run any smear campaign you want because everyone has this dirt on them.
There's a 12-year-old right now who will be the president of the United States in 40 years who's dabbing to a Little Pump video right now. And it's on Instagram,
so weird to
and
think
it's going to
about,
be in the
right?
cloud 40 years from now, and somebody's going to play it on a commercial. Except the commercial will be sent right straight to your iris.
That's tight, dog.
Yeah. You're like, by the way, I do want to make this announcement to everyone. Other than the utmost important thing being that episode 200 is in the description below.
Buy it.
A beloved show to the Dubl D's podcast, Black Mirror, in just about 6 days will have its new season.
Dude, I'm ready. I'm prepared. I'm gonna watch probably within 2 days. I'll watch all of it.
Oh, I'll give myself one. I'll give myself 1 day because if it's like 6 episodes, that's gone. That's done.
Yeah, but it's like a nice little delicacy. I just want to sit there after every episode. Ideally, I sit after every episode and I think about it. I just think about like how plausible it is. I like to do that. I like to think about how well the information is presented, and then you just think about how compelling it is, because there are a bunch of episodes of that show that are they're good, but you don't really want to go back to, White Bear. I never watched that again.
No.
I get it, but it's 15 Million Merits I've watched 4 times.
White Christmas I saw recently, and that
so
was
good.
more of a mind fuck than I remember it to be.
Banger, such a banger.
Yeah.
But the dude, I was thinking about this. So you can block little fetuses and babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
from you guys probably not even. White Christmas is an episode of Black Mirror. You should watch it. If you're not watching Black Mirror, you're a fucking schmuck. But I'm wondering, can two red people interact with each other? And what happens if you touch a red person? If a red person touches you, like, does it burn? Like, are the authorities immediately?
You may be thinking it too much.
I'm not, dude. I'm not thinking too hard to do it.
So what your real question is, can you fuck a red person? That's what you're asking.
You go on allreds.com and then you could get a red girl to come to your house.
Yeah, exactly.
But then your neighbors see it, and it's like a blight on your name.
You know what we always like to do around this time of year when we would make these Christmas episodes is we like to sort of paint the image of what you guys are going through right now as you're listening to this podcast on Christmas morning, Monday Christmas morning. And I mean, what are they doing right now? Because most of them are in their 20s and 30s, and they're disappointed because the ones who are in their late 20s to early 30s, they're not getting presents anymore. You guys are fucked.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a significant other, you're not getting a present ever again in life.
I don't look forward to that, having to buy a girl a present. Hey, I got you some boots. I got you some perfume. I don't know. Yeah, what are they doing right now? If you're below the age of 27...
You're working on your SoundCloud page.
No, I'll change. It's under the age of 25. You're not getting gifts from your family anymore, and you're sort of figuring out this post college life, unless you didn't graduate college or you only graduated the 7th grade or whatever. In which case you're in a dumpster somewhere. And I don't even know how you're listening to. They're listening to this on a fucking Zune. We
don't know how you can even process language.
Yeah. They're basically thinking about their next step in life. Maybe I think people who listen to our shit are pretty ambitious creatively. Like they want to make something and you're just trying to figure out where you fit into things. Maybe you're the kind of person where it's like you're creating stuff, but it just sounds like everyone else's shit, or looks like everyone else's shit. If you're a chef, it just tastes like everyone else's shit. You're trying to figure out what is your voice. Outside of you, your family is just the food is being prepared, all the good shit, the good shit. What are you looking forward to eating this year?
It's always the same stuff. I always eat the same stuff every year.
Mofongo?
It's of course. What does it use? Is it plantain? Whatever the fuck it was.
Plantain.
Plantain. Yeah, whatever. See, you can't make fun of us, Haiti. You can't. You know why?
Why not?
Because we deport you.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're a surface nuisance. Just on the
how would you say
like
deport the Haitians?
What was that?
How would you say deport the Haitians?
Depórtenlo, lo maldito haitiano.
Maldito. What does that mean?
Maldito, like damn.
Damn, that's fucked up,
Yeah.
dude. Haitiano. So like that's like an insult, right? If you call someone a Haitian.
Well, it was in DR when I lived there. Yes, that was clearly, I didn't understand how fucked up it was. I didn't know that was used as a term of like, I didn't even know what Haitiano, I didn't know what it meant. Yeah, I didn't know what the word Haitian meant, and I didn't know the intention behind using the term that way.
You just knew it was bad.
Well, I was 9 and 10, it just wasn't.
Here's what it means. Haitians are the Rebel Alliance. Dominicans are the Empire. I just want you guys to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else are these listeners experiencing right now?
They're experiencing right now just about what everybody else is experiencing. This is a very reflective point of the year. Psychologically, this is how our minds are triggered to be. It's like because the numbers are ending and starting up in a couple of days, we have to reflect. We should be reflecting every day, really.
Yeah, it's so arbitrary.
Yeah, it is. But they're setting goals. They're setting things that they would like to do. Of course. I get messages from you guys, and the questions are always. It's always the same. It's always the same questions. It's always how do I start this? How do I do that? It's always a how question.
Oh, they also ask, what do I look like of LA? That's another question.
No, they accuse you of
what do I appear to be to you?
Yeah. Just
I want
what
you to
is it
answer.
that I look like to you, sir? Do I appear to be a valet? The questions are always like that. and I'll never understand why, really. I guess it's the idea of, I mean, I do it too. I do it too. I listen to motivational stuff all the time. I listen to all of it. It's, you just learn that you're listening to it the same way, that you're consuming chocolate. That it's not going to give you anything. It's just giving you it's giving you a sense of, it's making you jovial. It's better than nothing. And it's like, it's turning on, something in your brain, but that ultimately it's not going to give you the result that you want. That moment isn't what's going to propel you. It's just, it's just junk food, but it's good to listen to. It's a lot better to listen to than to watch reality television. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's a lot better for yourself. And that's what I always tell kids is that it's very crucial to understand like how you manage your time in terms of what you consume now. Like it's very dangerous because your attention is being pulled from every single direction. And now that that's the case, you have to be very careful with what you consume. 4 years ago, I would, and partly because it's part of my job, I would go to World Star Hip Hop and I would look at things. But after a while, World Star started turning into just random fights. Last I checked on World Star, it's not necessarily the same thing anymore, but that means something. You ingesting all that shit means something. Not necessarily in the long term, but maybe in the short term it does. Years from now, there's going to be a pseudo neurologist who's going to tell us chemically how we react to the content that we take in on our phone. Because there's difference from taking content in from your TV screen and holding it physically in your hands. That's all, somebody much smarter than both of us, especially you, because you're a retard. So they will figure it out. But
it's not going to be pseudo.
It's not going to be pseudo. You're right.
It's going to be real shit, dude.
Right.
It's not going to be some healing. Like they're going to have like concrete evidence saying this is what we've been doing all this time with our phones and shit. Because I feel the pull all the time, the pull of my penis. I feel it. Mm-hmm. Right now at this moment, I'm supposed to be working on an animation, and instead I'm playing The Witcher 3. Do you know what The Witcher 3 is?
No, I do not. And let me also add, I don't want to know what it is, but I'm sure you're going to tell me anyway.
I'm going to tell you. Okay, so you play an albino swordsman in Poland, like, I don't know, the year 1400 or some shit. This game is probably like 90 hours of gameplay. It's so dense and realistic that it, like, if you play the game for a certain amount of hours, this guy will grow facial hair. He changes. Like, you can customize how he fights and like talking to people and shit. So I'm sitting here with The Witcher 3 in front of me. I'm already like 4 hours in, and it's like, this is the problem that I had a few years back where I'm like, I don't know how to balance myself. It's like I'm either spending too much time watching TV and playing games, or I'm working to the point where it's like I don't want to see anybody, and I'm like, it's affecting my mental health. So I don't know how to balance this shit out, and it's weird to watch a show and be like, all right, after this I'm done, because like when that episode's done, you're like, you still don't feel like working, but you have it's the same thing as everything. I mean, it's like how running. I haven't ran in like a week and a half, but it's this thing of like, you're gonna have to force yourself to do it eventually. Because it doesn't feel good all the time.
Yeah. I mean, the shows that I've been binge watching over the past few weeks, the amount of procrastination that goes into that is immense. But, we've talked about it before. I mean, I think a large part of when I got to know you, and maybe you could say what it is that you were beating into my brain, but I can tell you something that I was beating into your brain was the fact that you need to take it easier. Because everything was about, oh my God, I'm on a date and I'm not working. I'm doing this and I'm not working. I'm doing this and I'm not working. It was terrible because then you felt like shit all the time. Yeah, you were making stuff, but you didn't feel good. And if the purpose of this is to feel good afterwards, then, of course you could be. You see, some people are just A-type. Some people are just A-type, and you need to really know when you're not that person. I'm not an A-type personality person. I'm not a person who can emotionally disconnect themselves from their work. So if I'm feeling good, I'm going to work good. You know what I'm saying? So some people can ignore that completely. You know, somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk is a type A, but
It's
he's a psychopath. He's crazy. But what you like about Gary is that he's aware of the fact that you don't have to be like him. Too many people aspire to be like him, and what it does simultaneously is you shame yourself for not being him.
Yeah,
you know,
I do.
you see Gary in his fucking 5 or 6 offices in the world. I think he has one in London. But again, that goes into what Gary says. It's like, yeah, I've been doing this. I've been working in my father's wine store since I was like 14, nonstop. What did you just start doing something a year ago and you don't have what I have? Fucking cry me a river. Like what do you want me to do? So, you know, you don't have to be like everyone else and have your level. I have my level. Dom has his level. But I guess
it's like I have it, but I still feel like it's weird because it changes though. You know what I mean? It's not like whatever I needed when I first started DSE, you know, 4 years ago or whatever, 4 or 5 years ago, is not what I need now. And in fact, it changes based on the season. Mm-hmm. Like my energy level has changed because it's all gray and dark outside. It becomes dark at like 6:30 now, and the way I feel has changed. So it's like you're also trying to battle what's happening with the seasons, what's happening in your personal life. Because as you get older, you have more responsibilities and shit too. All of that affects your energy level.
Yeah.
God forbid I had a family or a wife or something. Good God, I don't know what the fuck I'd be doing.
Right. Yeah, no, it'd be, well, maybe your priorities would shift. Maybe they would shift.
And I would leave my family. Is that what you're saying? Become a deadbeat dad.
Well, man, look, I mean, I remember a very good quote, loosely remember a quote by Gandhi, and I think he said, "My commitment isn't to consistency. My commitment is to truth." So if you,
that's what a douche says.
No, I mean, if you,
I am leaving my wife because it is not truthful.
Please don't beat the shit out of me. So I mean, if you think of it, for example, all goals change. All goals change, and maybe sometimes we stick to something because we want to be stubborn and we want to feel like we owe it to ourselves to be consistent. But sometimes you being consistent is you going against what the fuck you really want. You know what I'm saying? I've questioned it many times. I've questioned it many times as I've been on my main channel of, do I want it? The only thing that I've questioned is do I want to talk about rap anymore? I don't question whether I want to speak or be in media. I've never questioned that.
Okay.
But talking about rap is something that I have questioned 1,000 times, but only within the last like 2 years. Because over the last 2 years, quality has dipped significantly. It's like it's plummeted.
It's all Little Pump.
Yeah, basically. And a lot of that I think has to do with, and you let me know if you can agree with me on this. I thought the other day of the parental advisory sticker.
Yeah, okay.
And the parental hear me out. This sounds like a pyramid scheme.
No, I know it's gonna be good. That's why I laughed.
Like,
Go
for
ahead.
just $500, I can get you in on this business. So I thought of the parental advisory sticker and how that works as quality control in the 90s or in the 2000s. Did that deter parents from selling or from buying albums for their kids? No, it didn't, but it lessened it, right? So if kids don't get to dictate what is popular and what is great, then essentially what you're going to have is much more quality music and quality content. If a group of 25-year-olds got together and decided to pick and choose what should be on the radio, do you think that playlist would be better than if 15-year-olds got to pick?
Yeah.
Okay, 15-year-olds are picking now. This is why Jake Paul is popular. All right.
But it's always been that way.
No, it
This is
hasn't.
not
No, it
new.
hasn't. It hasn't.
It
always
has,
been that way.
dude. The Beatlemania. Fucking okay, that's some white shit. But like young black kids have chosen what's cool. It's like you got to think of like it's always been that way. Imagine someone being like some black kid listening to Marvin Gaye, and his mom is like, "It's all about Billie Holiday. What the fuck is this shit you're listening to? You're listening to fucking Big Daddy Kane."
Okay,
it's the same shit.
So question. Okay, do you think you are able to have right now at your age? And this is a creepy question. You're a creepy dude. At your age, could you have more of a insightful conversation with a 15-year-old or with a 27-year-old?
27.
Okay. And you know about music psychology, and you know that what we ingest says a lot about ourselves. Not everything that we ingest, but far and wide, the music that you consume has to do with where you're from, your age, your background. It has a lot to do with that. So we can easily say that If somebody is younger and now they are picking and choosing what is quality, then that would be that would be a significant drop in the quality of the music, even to the point where you literally have artists like Lil Yachty making records like Peekaboo. That's literally the name of the song. So
Yeah,
because it's for kids, it's a kids bop has become the new movement, and it's been masked with mumble rap. Look, I'm not saying that this is the reason, the stamp. It could be a thousand things, but I think this is a contributing factor. Once the middleman is taken out of the equation, and now a kid who's given my little nephew, I just found out a week ago, he's got a phone now. My nephew's about 10, 11 years old. Okay,
wow,
so my nephew will be
amazing.
on YouTube, and he will be listening to whatever it is that he wants to listen to, and now streaming. If he listens to a Little Xan record, that view that he gives Little Xan will count towards streaming, which will count
And it
towards,
will determine who
will
else is
determine that
popular.
Little Xan is very popular. Now my brother can't come in and say you cannot listen to this because of the parental advisory. So kids are picking and choosing now. So I think it's not dangerous. It's just music. It's just music, and what's always been out there will be always out there. It's just always the argument of it's what makes people really bitter about music, and I think people confuse what's popular with what's actually out there. So you'll get guys who are my age.
Right.
No, let me finish. You get guys who are my age, and if we've talked about this before, where you ask them about rap music, and they say, "No, I can't listen to it because you got all these niggas, walking around and you." But it's like, but yeah, dude. But there's other stuff out there. It just makes you complacent now, and you're not going to look for it because you think the only thing that exists is 19-year-old kids with rainbow colored hair.
And on the flip side, you got these guys. I don't know if his name is Royce or something. What's his name? Like
Prince Royce.
No, it's this. I don't know if he's white. He looks Hispanic or something. He's always complaining about shit. He's always shitting on rap and saying how everything is fucked up now. And he spoke out about Lil Peep. Who's this guy? Light skinned dude.
No clue.
With a goatee. He's always
Was
like,
he a blogger?
No, he's a rapper, and he's like,
Oh man, rap now. I mean, like this shit is all just fake, dude. It's all just fucking fake.
No, I don't think you're talking about Royce. No, it's another guy's name. I forget his name. It's not Royce.
Roosh. Starts with an R.
Yeah, I know I think he was on an episode of Everyday Struggle, wasn't he?
He was.
Yes, and he told academics to shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he's a dude. He's a douche.
It's so. And I saw his one of his music videos on YouTube that just came out a few days ago and has like millions, and it was something
wait,
like
you talking about Russ?
Russ. Yeah.
No,
that's what it is.
Russ wasn't the guy who I was talking about. It's another guy. If you guys know who it is in the comment section, it was an episode of Everyday Struggle that they did it on a.
Are you sure it's not Russ?
No, I know Russ. Russ I'm familiar with, but there's another guy that was on the show about the same age as Russ and pretty much has the same disposition as him. He thinks he knows everything and he'll tell everybody to shut the fuck up. I'm really blanking on his name, but we're both talking about Russ, but I'm thinking of someone else.
Ugh. Yeah, but on the other spectrum, you have that shit. I'm like, I hate that holier than thou. It's just fucking music. Like, do your work. But look, man, I think if there's any sort of silver lining to this, it's like I watched a documentary about Lil Xan last night. It was like a little 15-minute documentary, and you'd be surprised. But it's like when I saw him. No, I'm not going to say that. The silver lining to all this shit is I think talent and hard work always wins out. I think it's the equalizer. And I think in every generation there's been schmucks. There's been people who are hot. I mean, you could name more than me in terms of hip hop. I know there are a lot in like the rock scene and all that shit. Just people who were considered awesome, but it only just happened for a few years. I mean, you can be as big as the Killers and only have like a 5-year run, right? So I mean, like some of these guys. I mean, like, remember Chingy? Like, whatever happened to Chingy? Like, you think, like, just some of these guys, it's like, what the fuck happened? Like, this is weird. So they'll have, like, one or two good years, and it's just like, boom, they just vanish. I think we're going to keep getting that. Because they also, when you look at these guys, it's a two-edged sword, but how they look is such a big part of their music. It's like you got to be like young, attractive looking, able-bodied. Like there are a bunch of things that are, I know not really, it doesn't, Okay, what if Kendrick was in a wheelchair? You think he'd be as popular?
If he was in a wheelchair?
Yeah,
Like
if he was wheelchair.
If he wasn't able to walk at all.
Yeah.
I don't think that would affect anything because he doesn't dance. He's not a sex symbol.
Okay.
I don't think that would affect anybody. If somebody came onto the rap scene and they were invalid, then yeah, that would simply be, that could work in their advantage, because if they made a song about people with disabilities, then it's like they've tapped into a different market. Sort of like Macklemore tapped into the gay market with Same Love.
Isn't he God, why does he gross me out so much?
He grossed everybody out when he was out. So everybody hated him after the Grammys.
It's just this thing of like I have this disdain for artists where it's like I listen to them, and even though I like them, I know that like white people super like them because it's like a safe hip hop artist to be into or something. It's like a thing. Mm-hmm. It's like I love Macklemore though. Like usually I don't like
Yeah.
I think Eminem was like that for a lot of people, but he was good. So it's like you couldn't be grossed out by him. It's like we really liked him.
Did you listen to Revival?
No. Don't ever fucking ask me that again. Don't ever. You're jeopardizing our friendship, dude. I'll never fucking talk to you again if you ever ask me. It's everything. I already know it's everything I hated about Recovery, and I will not listen.
Revival is everything that you thought it would be when you saw the track listing.
I saw it and I knew exactly what it was going to be, and I'm like, I will stay far away from this smelly mess. It has an American flag on the cover.
Yeah. I mean, even Joe Button talked about it. He was just like,
Joe Button was so mad.
Change the art, change everything about it. And that's somebody who's signed to Shady. It's a pretty bad indication of what an album is when all people all across the internet have the same thought about it. Everyone. Literally.
I want you to listen to it.
I did. I listened to it.
Oh, how was it?
There were one or two tracks that I actually liked. I liked one track on it. I think it was called Castle. It was for Haley, which is kind of strange now because Haley's like 22, and she's like your type.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? It means that she is she is of the Caucasian variety, sir.
I don't like blondes.
You don't like blondes? Okay.
Not really.
Okay. So there was it's a pop album basically. It's a pop album, and he's trying out that flow. You see, this whole time when he was doing that whole, the whole I'm doing the podcast with Dominic Rabrin, and he's
the Triumph era.
No, not necessarily Triumph. It's a little more tweaked than Triumph. It's very close to how he speaks. It's very.
Give me a song for an indication of it, because I know he's had many flow changes.
Well, basically, I mean, it's the Trump freestyle, on BET. Yeah. I'm about to go in office and get in Moffitt and I think Fantano called it a staccato flow. Fantano, of course, with the verbiage, but I speculated what this would sound like on an album, and I was like, okay, let's give it a chance of an album full of this sound, and it doesn't work. He sounds angry. He just sounds angry, and he makes it very obvious because he put out an interview, I think like 2 days ago, where he was talking about, he said something like, rapping is easier, but making music is hard, like something like that. Like he was talking about just how harder it is for him to create now. And you can hear the frustration, and everybody knows he's frustrated because it seems like he's so preoccupied with being an SJW now.
Is that it?
Dude, he's an SJW. That's what he is. I mean,
He just shits on
the
Trump.
most offensive.
Why does that make him an SJW?
The most offensive person, one of the most offensive in my childhood, has now become.
He's pushing 50. He has a 22-year-old daughter. That's what happens. You change.
I'm not saying he can't evolve. I'm just saying there was never a transition from that. Like there was never like, yeah, I know I was this guy, but now I'm this guy, And that's one of the crosses that you bear when you decide to pigeonhole yourself into a certain, niche. When you first come into the game. That's something that you sort of have to suffer through it because that's what you went with, and now it's kind of seeming. And look, I think the very first hypocritical thing was, making fun of all those pop artists years ago, and now making songs with Pink. Yeah, making songs with Sia, with Skylar Grey.
He loves her, man.
Yeah.
She's on everything. I cannot stand.
I do like the Pink record though. I like the
Wow.
Pink record. The Ed Sheeran one, I wasn't. Not really. I mean, it's the same song. It's all the same song.
Dude, when I heard "Walk on Water," I was like, "This is gonna be."
Yeah.
I remember I talked to you about it, and you were like, "You should do a drawing too." And I listened to it, and I was like, "Oof."
Yeah, no. Yeah, you weren't into that.
Yeah, no.
Into that, but Rabrin, we've got about 55 minutes here, man. I mean, I feel that I feel that we should give these kiddies something. We should put something in their hand, you know.
Oh yeah.
We should put something in their hand. It's 2018 now. That's it. I mean, this is the Christmas ep, but it's 2018 now.
I got something to put in their hand, all right.
And they've been they've been following us now for 4 years. Some of them into manhood, and
You're right.
yeah,
You're right.
some of them are ripe young men. Ripe.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Put something in their hand.
Listen, you guys. I'm gonna fucking talk right to you, okay? Yes, you. Listen. Yeah, you're smiling. Yes, you. Okay. You just got fucking a $20 gift card, okay? I know your mom just gave you some money. Fucking spend it, okay? Spend it in the right place. Go on Gumroad, buy the fucking Double D's 200 if you haven't bought it yet. If you have bought it, thank you. I'm just gonna touch your balls a little bit. All right, there you go. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, because we're gonna be honest with you. Yes, we bought this up again. This is how you guys put money in the tip jar. You guys think that those $15 don't mean anything, but they do.
Yeah, it's awesome.
They mean a lot, and to finish out these 200 episodes in the way that we finished off, that's why there's almost nothing to give you guys, because we gave everything to you on the 200 episode, and we're on camera. So we talked about all the nuances of the show. And there you pretty much have it, just for the low price of $50. That's our Christmas present, man. That's what it is.
Yeah. Indeed. How are we gonna sign off?
Well, I feel that now that the shows, the shows ended months ago, I feel that I should come out.
All right.
I've been trans this whole time.
So you were born a woman?
I was a woman 2 seconds ago, but now.
All right, the show's over. Goodbye, everybody. Let me tell you the story. Okay, wait, we're good, actually. Yeah.